To order. Welcome to those of you that are visiting us online. Good morning, Ray. You're probably the furthest away.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, exactly.
All right, you've got the attendance
Got the
nailed down,
attendance.
and I guess there's a sheet from the road.
There's indeed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there it is.
Any public comment for this meeting?
No?
Okay, everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes, so I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Ooh, seconder? Sorry. Seconded. All in favor? Against? Motion's carried. So we have two items for action. First, approval of amendment number 7. And will you speak to that, Jen?
I'll actually briefly speak to both of them and note that the technical committee decided to handle them together.
Oh, well, I guess we can do the same
So
as
you
long as
can,
that's legal.
that's really, it's perfectly legal as far as we know at least. And unless Scott wants to weigh in briefly, these are funding changes that are thus being reflected as amendments to existing projects. The first amendment 7 refers actually to the what's described here as pedestrian is work being done over a pedestrian walkway. That turns out to be the pedestrian walkway in the middle of the ISU campus under College Avenue. So it's the space on top of that, which I know all too well, that is the subject of that, and it's obviously an increase in that cost. And then in somewhat more dramatic fashion, Amendment 8 refers to the US 51 project and various and sundry aspects of that, and a substantial increase in funding in that case. This again is US 51 between Olive Street in Bloomington, just to the south of us, to the Gregory/Bowles intersection with Main Street in Normal. And all of the work apportioning there too. And as you can see from the description, it's a lot of different pieces of that project, all under this very large financial umbrella.
Just to add to that, the increase in cost is based on the further development of the phase 1 preliminary engineering. We have some better quantities and ideas to come up with these increased costs.
Any other comments or discussion or questions?
Scott, at this time, it's still one project. I know there was talk about it might need to be broken into 2.
We're studying it as one project. We'll have to look at it a little closer and how to break it down. That's a great deal of work for a contractor. It's a long contract that ties up a lot of equipment and manpower, so we'll have to discuss it. We'll work with the local agencies as well too.
Yeah, I just want to say this is a huge investment in our community, and I appreciate it.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, this has been in under discussion and in development for a long time, and to see it finally come into fruition and the level of work involved, as you say, very complex and involved set of circumstances.
We received really nothing but positive comments from the public meeting.
Excellent.
And of course, we noted that this was all based on the work that the McLean County Regional Planning Commission had done through their feasibility study, and we followed the concepts in there to develop the phase 1. So it was quite well received.
Good. That's good to know.
Echo what I had mentioned in technical as well for this meeting, this record. Really appreciate, I know there is an added cost when you take things one lane at a time and you slow down a project intentionally. Not to say we're going to be moving slow, but there's an intentional phasing to it, making sure there's still access. We've received comments about that. Is this going to affect the services we can provide? Is this going to affect that? And that was one of our questions leading up to it too. So very, very happy to see that even at the cost of a little extra money, that time is being recognized as an expense, people's accessibility in the community. And we're excited for it as well. A lot of corridors that we know very well, some of our highest riders from corridors, really important to the community. We're excited to see them improved and not taken off our radar while these works are going on. So
Just as a matter of context, this all began with a plan for Main Street back in 2007. And, and then successive phases of looking specifically at the transportation elements of that with respect to Main Street and its uses. And as time has gone on, the need for this has become more and more apparent. And it is incredibly gratifying and exciting to see it coming to fruition, to see the kinds of of improvements we've talked about all this time, literally in concrete terms. I think for McLean County Regional Planning in particular, this is a very happy event to see this going forward.
Very good. Anything else? Is everybody in favor of dealing with these two amendments in one motion? All right, I'll ask for that motion then.
I move a discussion of the amendment 7 and 8.
The seconder?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? The motion's carried. So that takes us to items for information or discussion, and I'll ask Jen to take over from there.
And some of you will have heard this already in the technical committee, but in item 7, transportation system safety project status, as I think all of you know, the biped state funded project concluded in September, and among the products of that was a series of sort of promotional and informational videos, 10 relatively short ones that we're sharing on social media and other outlets as available, that are very much in the same vein and the same sort of design language is our Go Safe McLean County Action Plan, so our original Vision Zero document. So those are in circulation now. There's also a safety-related state planning and research grant from IDOT, which is already underway, and the current push is to get an RFP put together so that we can get someone in to work a lot on this sort of how to promote the notion of the safety culture that goes with Vision Zero and goes with our Go Safe plan, and push it more broadly into the community. Lots of public education, lots of outreach, all of that's going to be part of that process. And so that's underway. With respect to the RAISE supported grant, the Veterans Parkway Corridor Study, we have the agreements seem to be complete. Bob was mentioning in the technical committee meeting that there's, just a little bit of finalizing with respect to the invoicing of the local participants for their funding. And that I think is pretty much close to resolved. Bob can weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong. And then that too, we're doing a draft or an update of the draft RFP to get someone in to work on that. This is a very large project. It's an enormous corridor. So this is going to be a pretty involved study for Veterans Parkway. And then finally, the SS4A Safe Streets and Roads for All federal grant, for which McLean County Regional Planning is the recipient. In the previous case, IDOT has become the recipient. Kind of in the same position, we're trying to finalize an RFP so that we can get this off the ground. Contracting agreements are complete with respect to that project. So we are just sort of waiting to get on deck with an RFP and get somebody in to do some of the work on that. And we have a budget put together, which we'll be submitting to IDOT because it's part of their process. And that will happen very shortly. And that's where we are on all those grants.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. Any questions? Is there any other business that we should take up this morning?
Very quickly, we had a discussion in the technical committee meeting. This is actually item 8 about the fact that we are required to submit.
I apologize, Jen. I thought you covered that under 7.
Nope, not quite.
Okay.
Slightly different topic because as part of an ongoing annual process, IDOT has promulgated their targets for performance measures for safety in our system. And our practice in the past has been to adopt IDOT's targets, which is essentially a 2% reduction per year in fatalities and serious injuries. So that's the part we're dealing with right now. There are some sunsets to that. We have begun discussing the possibility of, rather than adopting the IDOT targets, as of this coming February, which is the deadline for us to adopt targets of some kind, that as a result of a lot of new data that we've had compiled and analyzed in the last few months, we might formulate local targets for the Bloomington-Normal urbanized area and to some extent for the surrounding portions of the county where we have data and concerns. And that's going to be an ongoing conversation between now and probably January as to whether we can go forward with that idea. This was first discussed earlier this morning in the intergovernmental meeting, again in the technical committee meeting, and we're simply looking at the how this would go forward. We're going to prepare a sort of proposal on how this would look, and then engage in further discussion with our MPO participants, with our intergovernmental participants on whether or not this is a practical step. And that's where we are with that. Sort of a brand new topic, but something we've been talking about internally for a couple months now.
Okay, does anyone have questions or comments about that?
There will be more information coming out. We have some materials that we'll send to the committee members so you can see what we've based this on and why this discussion has arisen. And obviously, I'm always available to respond to questions. Ray has got some concerns about the timetable, and we're going to go over those. It will be easier when he's back in this hemisphere. And so this will be a continuing discussion. Ray, go ahead.
So will this,
No, you well said. No, that's fine. We basically is our initial proposal, and we would love to receive input and feedback from you all as we, what we hope to get, from our partner entities. So, yeah, this is just our first step at this, but we want to do it as a team, and while they're just going along. But we have a lot of data, so we explore the possibility of either to adopt the state's standards and exceed it, or reduce it. I mean, we down to say 1% or whatever the percentage is, and but there are different options to look into. But it's our first initial attempt to just bring out to the committees and then try to get feedback from everyone.
thanks, Ray.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions? All right, is there any other business we should talk about? I shall ask for a motion to adjourn.
So,
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Against? We are adjourned.